Hey guys, Lest here, and today I'm going to be switching up the pace a bit. Instead of talking about more Earthright or Earthright matchups, I'm going to talk about a deck that I've been having quite a bit of fun with recently, and that deck is Abyss. This format, like I said on my tier list, I put Aggro Abyss at a tier 2 status, alongside stuff like Midrange Sword, Forest, Holy Sentinel. I think the deck has its good matchups. I think it definitely has the ability to beat the control decks, especially like Haven and Dragon, that have a better matchup into Sword, will often find themselves getting out tempoed or out like faced by Abyss, as Abyss just has more out of hand damage than Sword and can play past wards relatively easier. So let's start with the 1-drops. For the 1-drops, I run 3 copies of Skeleton Fighter, 3 copies of Ambling Wraith, and 3 copies of Goblin. These are the 9 1-drop creatures or 1-drop followers that I run because as an aggro deck, you really need to make sure that you play a follower with stats on turn 1, as that is the most important turn, because if you play something on turn 1, usually most decks either can only play a Bellringer on 1, or they can pass turn 1, usually most of the time. So this 1-drop will usually get to trade, or get to swing face the first turn, or at least hit into a Bellringer. And then, since they have to deal with your turn 2 play from then on, your average 1-drop usually gets 4 to 6 damage in face. And if your aggro deck skips turn 1, it's actually relatively devastating, as you're basically on tempo now with most mid-range decks that can afford to not play as many 1-drops. So even though, like, obviously Skeleton Fighter is basically strictly better than Goblin, you still need to play the Goblin in order to make sure that you see one in your opening hand. If you have to like mulligan like a hand that's like 1-drop, 1-drop, and then like 2 4-drops. So yeah. Obviously the one that you want to see the most in the early game is Ambling Wraith, but the fact that it has 1 health means that it's pretty bad in the Forest matchup, so be careful of that. Next, the 1-drop NonFollowers, 2 Dire Binds, and 1 Soul Conversion. I've never really liked Soul Conversion in this deck, other than in later turns to combo with Ghost Followers. But even then, I found that I would rather have used all my play points that turn to have done something else beforehand, because drawing after you play is something that you really don't want to do as an aggro deck, because you want to make the most efficient play every turn. Let's say in Dire Bond's case, I can pay 1 to draw with Dire Bond, and then assess my hand, and then play whatever I want. But with Soul Conversion a lot of the time, if you don't want to lose an actual follower, you would have to play a card that makes ghosts, attack with it, and then use Soul Conversion. Then if you draw into a better play, you're like, ah damn, I'm shit out of luck, huh? I could have just played this turn if I drew it earlier, right? But that's just not possible because you need to be reactive with Soul Conversion. So I actually prefer Dire Bond, and Dire Bond being a 1 cost that can proc Sanguine is very important to combo with stuff like Dark General on turn 5 or Skeleton Fighter on turn 2. On turn 2, playing Dire Bond as a Skeleton Fighter is actually really good. It's as if you played a Latham, but you actually drew a card. So yeah, it's very good. Then for the 2-drops, I'm running 3 copies of Specter. This is not a self-explanatory. Specter not only helps your Necro Charge, but it's your easiest way to get past a ward. Versus like Arua cards, or like Sword with Aurelia and whatnot, and Dragon with Dragon Guard, a lot of aggro decks would have a big problem punching through that. But Abyss can just go play Specter, trigger its on Summon Fanfare effect, and then just Bane into it, which is very, very efficient rule for an aggro deck. I don't understand why a lot of players don't play this at 3, because when I'm playing against aggro Abyss, more often than not, I'm really scared of this card. Like, this card just ruins a lot of trades. Like, if I'm playing 4 play points as Dragon to set up a Dragon Guard, I don't want to getting traded away by a 2 cost. That's just so neg, right? And then I run 2 Lesser Mummies and 2 Liliths as the Evo targets for 2. I've thought about it in like both ways. Lesser Mummy is more aggressive for sure, but in this deck, it's very hard to actually reach Necrocharge 10 before like turn 8. So you can basically like say that the Necrocharge doesn't exist, but even though the Necrocharge doesn't exist, I would still play both of these because the Lilith to heal definitely does come up, but Lesser Mummy is the more aggressive one of the two. But yeah, I just want like more, like I want 4 2-play point Evo targets more like, because I want to play 10 2-drops. Like I think 2-drop is one of the more important aggro curves and drops in aggro because it fits very well. On turn 3 you can play a 2 and a 1, and that's like oftentimes better than playing a 3. But the thing with Blood or Abyss right now is that there's just not a lot of good 2-drops that are like that fit the deck very well. Like one of them is like Dark Summoner, but I don't really like Dark Summoner because we have ways to proc Sanguine, but not that many ways to proc Sanguine. And Dark Summoner doesn't give me like, doesn't have an evo effect, so like I chose to run 2 of the ones. You can definitely choose to run 3-1, like whichever one you prefer more. But I currently don't know which one I prefer more. If you guys have any recommendations, feel free to put in the comments. And then, obviously, Razor Claw. A lot of people who don't play the CCG might not understand how crazy this card is. People might think that, oh, I'm paying 2 play points, I'm hitting myself for 2, and I'm hitting something for 3. That feels really bad. Like, Dragon is hitting something for 4 for 1 in Overflow, or hitting something for 1 for 2, and they don't have to hit something for 2, but... Think of it this way. A lot of decks are running Demonic Strike, and Demonic Strike is paying 3 play points to hit something for 3. Hit face for 3. This thing can hit face for 3. You're only paying 2. This makes like Abyss have crazy burst in the late game. Like if you have 2 of these in your hand, that's 4 play points to deal 6 damage. That's like Forte levels of damage, and that goes through wards too. Helps you proc Sanguine. One of your most iconic lethals is turn 6 Razor Claw into Dark General. That's 8 damage. Like no other aggro decks has access to that much damage output during these turns. Like this card's so crazy, man. And then for the 3-drops, I'm running 3 copies of Playful Necromancer. This is definitely the best Evo target in the deck. The fact that a lot of the times you don't even have to trade with this card the turn you play it. You just don't engage it. They have to find a way to deal with this. This is representing 7 damage because the ghosts already have swung. And the fact that it gives you 3 ghosts means that you can probably value trade and also go face. Combining with the Playful, we have 3 copies of Phantom Howl. Phantom Howl is pretty good. It does have anti-synergy with Path to Purgatory and Dire Bond, in that if you have too many amulets on field, this doesn't do that much. But the fact that I'm playing 3 for at least 4 damage is very good, especially because we play Cerberus. You need these Storm Followers to be able to carry ghosts with Cocos and Mimis on them in order to hit the face. So I really enjoy having all these at max capacity. And then finally 2 Crazed Executioner. Crazed Executioner is a card that a lot of decks don't like dealing with, but at the same time, as the Abyss player, especially if you're going first, paying 4 play points for this effect really feels bad. Yes, you guys can rip a card out of their hand. That's really plus. But at the same time, your card quality isn't as high as your opponent's. You need to end the game early. And paying 4 play points for a 3/3 that doesn't get any stats on Evolve and hits you back for 2 just to rip a card out of your opponent's hand is not that great, you know what I mean? Like, this card's like really awkward for me. But at the same time, the effect is game winning. Like against Dragon, a lot of the times, the Dragon player will hold 1 Shenlong in their hand, and they need to survive until turn 6 in order to play the Shenlong. You play this on 4, you rip the Shenlong, and this game is basically over. So like, I still play it, but I wouldn't play it at 3, mainly because your most important other evolve target, Playful Necromancer, is also at that stat cost. So you don't want to clog with too many evolves, because they both are like blinks. They don't have any effect if you don't evolve them. And we can't evolve twice a turn, right? And later on, there's like more important evolve targets. And finally, to round out the 3, I have 2 copies of Path to Purgatory. You might think that paying 3 to draw 3 in an aggro deck is not that good, and it's not. It really isn't. But the fact that Abyss can tap itself into the 6 health range means that a lot of times, you can like clear the board and go face and threaten lethal, and like you don't have to worry about your opponent's followers attacking you because you can just like clear it with Path to Purgatory. This card's like really nice. It procs Sanguine, so like on turn 4, if you're really running out of gas, Sanguine, draw Skeleton, play Skeleton. That's a 3/3. You drew 3 cards, and like this is gonna be inevitably be a board clear later because you can like tap yourself into 6. So like I really want to see this card every turn, every game. Like on turn 7, if I already have a path on the field and my opponent's already built a big board, I can tap myself into Sanguine, attack their face. I don't have to clear their board. Their board is automatically cleared, and if they can't kill me back, I represent a game-winning push on the next turn. So I really like this card. And then finally, the 4-drop slot, the 2 most important cards. Cerberus represents a at least 4 damage setup with board clear, and they have to deal with the Cerberus that's often not engaged, which is very hard. Cerberus basically says if you don't kill this, it's 9 damage. If you kill it, I still have 4 damage. And Excella is some of the like highest status Storm followers. Even though it has conditional Storm, you're running like Ambling Wraith, Dire Bond, Specter, Razory, Executioner. Like those are all like Sanguine tools. You'll eventually find a way to proc her. And also, just playing a 4-mana 5/5 out is really strong. Like but like this card has one big weakness. It's that against Dragon, the 5 health trades very badly into the removal, the 3-mana 5 damage removal. So if you like Razory into Excella and then you attack with Excella and it gets hit by Cerberus Wrath, it feels so bad. But there's not much you can do about that. If they have it, they have it, right? You just have to put the face damage in and you hope they don't have it. And then last but not least, I'm playing 2 Alucards. This card is a bit too expensive for an aggro deck, but at the same time, when you find that games do go long, you need a certain something to help you like swing back the game. This card can be played on 7, it heals you, it attacks something, it clears the board, it has 6 if you have Necro Charge, which on 7, you most likely do have it. Like, it stabilizes you, it helps you push for game, it's a natural storm, you don't have many natural storms in the deck. Excella's conditional storm, Mummy is conditional storm, and like the ghosts, like they're not that reliable. You don't see that many of them. So like having a finisher that has actual storm to follow up your turn 6 Cerberus, Alucard is like 10 damage with 2 Cocos, while clearing something with Mimi is like 6 damage as well. Heal you back for 4. More often than not, that just is the game-winning push you need. And I want to see it consistently late game, and I have enough draw in the deck with 2 Dire Bond, 2 Path, and 1 Soul Conversion that I'll more often than not see 1 copy, so I'm okay with running 2. And then let's get to the Evo deck. 1 Goblin because you need to punish them for leaving your Goblin alive in the late game. So paying 3 mana or 4 mana to evolve the Goblin sounds bad, but think about it this way. You're paying it to give your Goblin 2 more stats, so it's harder to clear, and you're also doing instant damage to them. So like in another way, it's like, yeah, it's probably good to have. It might come up, you know. 2 Executioner. I used to run 1 of this, and then I drew the second one and I couldn't evolve it, and I missed game because of that. So I put a second one back in. 2 Liliths because I never want to play Lilith without evolving her. That's just pretty bad. 1 Mummy because like, Evolve Mummy is only good if it has Storm, or if the Mummy you played survived that turn. And more often than not, it's not surviving that turn. So I don't find myself like Lilith, like, every time I play Lilith, I really want that 2 health. Not every time do I actually want the Strike for Ghost. So, yeah. And then, obviously, 2 for the Playful, your most important Evo target, and 2 for the Cerberus, your second most important Evo target. I think the Evolve deck is very self-explanatory, and, make sure to, if you enjoy the video, leave a like. If you are dissatisfied with the video, you can leave a dislike if you want. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what type of content you want to see next. Do you want to see me play Forest or whatever? There is another feature match of Earthright versus Dragon that's going to be coming up soon. I'll be analyzing some more matches with Dragon. And yeah. Also, in other news, I won another I won another shop qualifier. Obviously, it's with Earthright again. 40 card Earthright. Played against a lot of dragon, one forest, basically all dragon. I teched my deck out to be dragon. But since I already have my invite, I passed it down. So yeah. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.